Hello there, my name is Payal Naraine and welcome to this video series. यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया की 3rd एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है. इस किताब को हम थ्रूली रीड करेंगे और जहाँ ज़रूरत पड़ेगी वहाँ हम साथ ही साथ UPSC एंड स्टेट सर्विसेज में आए हुए प्रीवियस ईयर के क्वेश्चंस भी डिस्कस करेंगे. एंड इस सीरीज़ में वीडियोस लगभग 30 to 35 मिनट्स के होंगे, बड़े इफेक्टिव होंगे और हम ऑलमोस्ट 40 to 45 लेक्चर्स में ये पूरी किताब कवर करेंगे. और अगर आपने ये सीरीज़ 3 to 4 टाइम्स देख ली तो बिल्कुल ये किताब आपके दिमाग में छप जाएगी एंड ट्रस्ट मी, आपकी एक्यूरेसी भी काफ़ी इंक्रीज़ हो जाएगी. साथ ही साथ आपका रिवीजन भी काफ़ी आसान हो जाएगा. सो अगर आपको रिवीजन के साथ साथ वैल्यू एडिशन भी करना है तो ये सीरीज़ पूरी फॉलो करें. आपको बस आपके पास ये किताब रखकर मुझे सुनना है एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स मार्क करने हैं. So without any further delay, let's get started. Hello there, welcome back to the channel Ghatna Sutra. यहाँ हम कवर कर रहे हैं पूनम दलाल दहिया की एंशिएंट एंड मेडिवल इंडिया 3rd एडिशन, जो कि लेटेस्ट एडिशन है. और हमने लास्ट वीडियो में कवर कर लिया था द शाकास. नाउ वी आर गोइंग टू स्टार्ट विद द क्वेश्चनर्स. एंड बिफोर वी मूव अहेड, आपकी बुक्स पे भी इसको जस्ट ट्रिपल स्टार मार्केट, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर सवाल UPSC में 2001 में, UPPCS में 2005 एंड 2004 में, एंड उत्तराखंड एंड UDA/LDA के एग्जाम में 2006 में पूछा गया था. सो दिस मेक्स इट एन इम्पॉर्टेंट टॉपिक. सो जस्ट 3 स्टार मार्केट इन योर बुक्स टू एंड मेक श्योर दैट यू रिवाइज दिस टॉपिक बिफोर यू गो फॉर द एग्जामिनेशन, राइट? सो लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड. द Kushanas. Kushanas were also referred as Uchins, Moon tribe, or Tochurians, who were one of the 5 clans, Kuishang, into which the Yuchi tribe is divided. They were nomadic tribal people who were originally from the steppes of North Central Asia. The Kushanas first occupied Bactria or North Afghanistan, where they displaced the Shakas and gradually seized Gandhara, replacing the rule of the Greek and the Parthihans in these areas. Ultimately, they set up their authority over the lower Indus Basin and the greater part of the Gangetic Basin. Their empire extended from the river Oxus to the river Ganga, from Khorasan in Central Asia to Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh, almost the area of the 9 modern countries. Kujula Catphyses, or Catphyses I, 15 CE to 64 CE. He amalgamated the 5 clans of Yuchi tribe and laid the foundation of a unified Kushana empire. He minted coins in copper and believed to have imitated the Roman Aurai type coins to facilitate trade. His coins have been found south of the Hindu Kush, which suggested that during his reign the Kushanas probably started their movement towards Indian subcontinent. His coins also suggested an association with Buddhism. He adopted the epithet of Dharmatida and Sacha Dharmatida. Now we are going to talk about Vima Catphyses 2. So and mark this like double star mark this, क्योंकि इसके ऊपर सवाल UPPCS and BPSC में multiple years में पूछे गए थे, right? And note it down in your books too. Let's start. Vima Catphyses 2. He was the son of Catphyses I and started as a co-ruler with his father for some time, but later also ruled independently. He conquered Gandhara from the Parthihans and further spread the kingdom to the east of the Indus till Mathura region. The political significance of Kanishka ruler lies in the fact that he integrated Central Asia with North India as a part of a single empire. It resulted in the intermingling of different cultures and increase in the inter-regional trading activities. He issued a large number of gold coins. He was a firm devotee of Shiva and proclaimed himself as Maheshwara on his coins. All his coins, both gold and copper, have unmistakable sign of Shiva with his trident bull. Kanishka. So double star mark this Kanishka वाले टॉपिक पर, बिकॉज इसके ऊपर भी UPPCS में मल्टीपल ईयर्स में सवाल पूछे गए थे. साथ ही उत्तराखंड PCS में भी पूछा गया था UPPCS के अलावा, राइट? सो डबल स्टार मार्क दिस टॉपिक. Kanishka, 78 CE to 101 CE. He was the son of Catphyses II and is perhaps the most famous Kushana king under whose reign the Kushana Empire reached its zenith. It expanded from Central Asia to Afghanistan and northwestern India to further east into Ganga Valley and southward into the Malwa region. included Varanasi, Kaushambi, and Shravasti in Uttar Pradesh, and Sachi in Madhya Pradesh. The center of a huge empire was Bactria, as evident in the use of their Bactrian language in Kanishka's coin and inscription. The famous Raptak inscription in modern Bhagran province of Afghanistan presents valuable information on Kanishka. Adopted the title of Devputra and has been shown wearing a peaked helmet on some coins. Kanishka had two capitals. Porishpura, present day Peshawar, he built a giant stupa to house the Buddha's release in the city of Porishpura. The building was still intact with all its magnificence when the Chinese pilgrim Fahin visited the area later in the early 5th century CE. Mathura. He is remembered for two major reasons. Started the Shaka era, which is accepted as a beginning of his reign and which is now used by the government of India for its calendar. The probable explanation as to why the name Shaka era and not Kushana era probably lies in the belief that either Kanishka was mistakenly considered a Shaka or that the era was in continuous throughout the reign of the Shakas, Kshatrapas of Western India, who acknowledged their overlordship of the Kushana. Held the 4th Buddhist Council at Kundalavana near Srinagar in Jammu Kashmir under the presidency of Vasumitra. Kanishka was a great patron of Buddhism. It was the council that Buddhism was split into two schools, the Hinayana and the Mahayana. According to the legend, it was Pasa, a Buddhist monk, who advised Kanishka to commence the 4th Buddhist Council. He patronized great scholars and eminent personalities of that era, such as Ashvaghosha, a Buddhist scholar who wrote the hagiographic Buddha Charitra, the scared biography of Buddha, and composed Saundarananda, a Sanskrit kavya. Charka. He is known as the father of Ayurveda, who wrote the book on medicines called Chakra Samahita and also wrote Sutra. Vasumitra, the eminent philosopher who authored the encyclopedia of Buddhist philosophy called Mahavibhasa. And जैसे जैसे हम ये पढ़ रहे हैं, right? You remember who wrote what book और किन से किसका relation है, right? So make sure that you remember these things क्योंकि probability is higher कि ऐसे सवाल पूछे जाए exam में match the pair or which one of these are correct, right? So mark this as an important too. Nagarjuna, he is often termed as Indian Einstein, who proposed the theory of relativity in his times in the form of Sutra, the Prajna Parmita Sutra. He was also a great exponent of Mahayana doctrine and propounded the Madhyamaka, also known as Shunyavad school, which focuses on Shunyata or emptiness. Mathara, he was a minister who was noted for his unusual intelligence. Agesilos, a Greek engineer, under whose guidance it is believed that the great stupa of Porashpur was built. Kanishka also patronized the Gandhar and Mathura school of sculptures. At Mathura, a headless statue of Kanishka depicts him as a warrior being found. He controlled the famous Silk Route in Central Asia. China, Central Asia, Afghanistan, Iran, Western Asia, part of Roman Empire. Another striking aspect of Kanishka's personality was his attitude of religious tolerance. As the king's coinage depict motifs drawn from the great variety of religious tradition, India, the motifs of Shiva and the Buddha, Greek, the motifs of Greek deities such as Helios, a sun god, and Selene, a moon god, and West Asian, such as motifs of Persian gods Atash, fire god, and Mitra, sun god. Towards the end of his long reign, it appeared that he led an unsuccessful military expedition into Central Asia against the Chinese and was defeated by the general Pancho and was forced to pay tribute to Chinese Emperor Hoti. Vasudeva II, the last Kushana Empire. The immediate success of Kanishka were Kanishka II, who adopted the title of Kaisar, and Vasudeva I, who during his reign around the mid-2nd century CE took the title of Shano Shao Vasudeva Kushano, which indicate that by the time the Kushanas were totally Indianized. Also, it was during his reign that the empire started declining. The name of these rulers and those of various Kshatrapas and Mahashatrapas are found in number of crochet inscription on a massive rock at Hunza, located between Karakoram Highway and the Hunza River. Kushana power gradually declined from the early 3rd century CE. The Kushana Empire in Afghanistan and in the area west of the Indus was supplanted by Sasanian power of Iran in mid-3rd century. However, some remnant of Kushanas lingered on the Kabul valley, Kapisa and Bactria till as late as the 4th century CE. The decline of Kushana led to the resurfacing of several polities of both monarchies and Ganas in different parts of the North India, as evident from the coins, seals and inscriptions which had been temporarily subdued by them, such as the Shaka Kshatrapas in western and central India, Arjunyanas in Bharatpur and Alwar area, Malwas in Punjab and some portion of adjacent Rajasthan, Udaya Gana in eastern Punjab and adjoining areas of Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. The Naga king in and around Padmavati region identified with Pavya in modern Gwalior district, Madhya Pradesh. Shaka Kshatrapas of Western India. As discussed earlier, the Saitopathyans ruled through their Kshatrapas, viceroys and Mahashatrapas, subordinate rulers, in the early century CE. There were two important lines of Kshatrapa rulers, the Kshatratas and the Kardamakas, who continued to have hold over part of Western India during and after the Kushana period. The Kshatrapas, the prominent ruler belonged to this dynasty, include Bhumaka around 78 CE, who originally owed allegiance to Kanishka. His coins with legends in Brahmi and Kharosthi have been found at Malwa, Ajmer area and coastal Gujarat. Nahapana, 119 to 25 CE. Progress in his career from Kshatrapa to Mahashatrapa and ultimately to Raja. His kingdom probably had its capital at Minagra, modern Doha, located between Ujjain and Bharuch, and include Malwa, Gujarat, Saurashtra, northern Maharashtra, part of Rajasthan and lower Indus Valley. An inscription of one of these Amtyas named Aryaman have been found at Pune district. His coins have been found at Ajmer, Rajasthan, Nashik, Maharashtra. Some of his donative inscriptions have been found in Nashik and the Karle caves of Maharashtra. It is believed that the Shaka Kshatrapas were involved in continuous conflict with Satavahanas over the suzerainty over the Deccan and control over the western seaport areas frequently changed hands. For instance, the Nashik and Pune area seem to have been conquered by either Nahapana or his predecessors from the Satavahanas. Later, around 125 CE, Nahapana is believed to have been killed by the Satavahana ruler Gautamiputra Satkarni, who not only restruck Nahapana's coin but also mentioned his victory over Nahapanas in his inscription in the Nashik and Pune district. This is also mentioned in his mother Gautami Balashri's inscription. One inscription mentioned that the field of providing food was granted to Buddhist monks by Ushavadatta, Nahapana's son-in-law. The Kardamakas. The Kardamakas are another line of Shaka Kshatrapas who ruled Western India after the Kshatratas dynasty came to an end. The prominent ruler belonged to this dynasty include Chastana around 120 CE, founder of Kardamaka dynasty, originally ruled in the Sindh area as a subordinate of the Kushanas and were probably the Kshatrapa of the southwestern province of the Kushana Empire at the time of Nahapana. The Kardamakas had a practice of senior Mahashatrapas and a junior Kshatrapa ruler. For instance, during the lifetime of Chastana, the Mahakshatrapas, his son Jayadaman, and later his grandson Rudraman I were Kshatrapas. He was succeeded by the most famous ruler of his dynasty and his grandson Rudraman I. So now double star mark this Rudraman I के बारे में जिनके बारे में हम अभी बात करेंगे, राइट. डबल स्टार मार्क दिस क्योंकि ये UPPCS में 1997 में इसके ऊपर सवाल पूछा गया था एंड लाइकवाइज BPSC के 2011 में भी इसके ऊपर सवाल पूछा गया था. सो डबल स्टार मार्क दिस टॉपिक. Rudraman I, 130 CE to 152 CE, the most famous of all the Shaka Kshatrapa rulers who ruled in the middle of the 2nd century CE. His empire was spread over almost whole of western India, which included Sindh, Gujarat, Konkan, Narmada Valley, Malwa and Kaithwar, except the Nashik and Pune area. He is famous in history because of the repairs he undertook to improve the Sudarshan Lake from Chandragupta Maurya's reign, located in the semi-arid zone of Kaithwar, and this task is described in the famous Junagarh and Girnar inscription dated in the Shaka year 72, that is 150 to 151 CE. This inscription happened to be the first chaste Sanskrit royal inscription of early India, when all other were generally composed in Prakrit. The other achievements are also described through this inscription. The inscription mentions that he defeated Gautamiputra Satkarni, the lord of Dakshinpatha, twice, but did not destroy him as he was a close relative. Rudraman's daughter was married to Gautamiputra Satkarni's son, Vishishtaputra Pulmavi. Vishwasena, late Kshatrapa ruler who ruled at the end of 3rd century BCE and belonged to the Chastana lineage. Impact and contribution of contact with Central Asia. The Shaka Kushana phase introduced various elements to trade and agriculture, to administrative organization, to art and literature, sculpture and pottery, science and technology, and to the Indian society at large. In fact, large Asian influences was felt in almost all spheres and aspects of social life. For instance, pottery and architecture. They introduced the use of burnt brick for flooring and tiles, for both flooring and roofing. The period is marked by the construction of brick walls. Red pottery technique, which were widely used in Central Asia, were replicated in the Indian subcontinents too. The typical pottery of this period was redware, both plain and polished, with medium to fine fabric. The distinctive pots of this period were sprinklers and spouted channels. Trade and agriculture. Due to establishment of intimate contact between Central Asia and India, trade between the two regions also flourished. India imported a good deal of gold from the Altai mountain of Central Asia. Due to the extensive control of the Kushanas on the Silk Road, the economy of Kushanas were replenished with the toll levied from the traders, and this income helped in building a large prosperous empire. Embassies were sent from India to the court of Roman Emperor Augustus in 27 to 28 CE, and also to the Roman Emperor Trajan in 110 to 20 CE. It is rather pertinent to note that even though it was the Indo-Greek who introduced gold coins in India, it was the Kushanas who were the first ruler in India to issue the gold coins on such a wide scale. The Kushanas also promoted agriculture. It is believed that the Kushanas were the pioneer in introducing and extending the area under the large-scale irrigation. Military knowledge and equipments. Being excellent horsemen themselves, the Shakas and the Kushanas introduced better cavalry and popularized the use of riding horses on a large scale. They made common the use of reins, saddles, and toe stirrups made up of rope, which facilitate the movement of the rider. They also bought the caps, helmets, and boots used by warriors. The Shakas and Kushanas introduced new dressing styles such as the turban and the tunics, trousers, heavy long coats, and long boots, which were adopted not only by warrior classes but also by certain other sections of society. The practice of making leather shoes began in India during this period in all likelihood. Administrative organization. The Central Asian conquered introduced new style in administration. For instance, the Indo-Greek introduced the practice of military governorship, wherein they appointed military governors called the strategos, while the Kushana introduced the strapas. system of government, under which the empire was divided into numerous strapes and each strape was placed under the rule of a strap. This system led to the development of feudatory organization, wherein these Central Asian conquered established their supremacy over numerous small princes who regularly paid tribute to them. The Shakas and the Kushanas strengthened the idea of divine origin of kingship. They took the title of Deviputra, that is the son of gods. Indian society. One of the striking aspects about the Central Asian conqueror was that not only did they assimilate with the Indian society, but they also added new ingredients to the Indian culture and enriched it immensely. They completely identified themselves with the Indian culture. Since they did not have their own script, written language, or any organized religion, they adopted these components of culture from India. It would not be wrong to say that no other period of ancient history were foreigners assimilated in India's society on such a large scale as they were in the post-Mauryan period. Since most of them came as conquerors, they were absorbed as Kshatriyas. Even in the Manusmriti, the Shakas and the Parthianas were described by Manu as Vartya Kshatriyas, second-class Kshatriyas, who had deviated from the duties of sacrificial rituals and thus fallen in status. The ruler not only adopted the Indian societal norms but also adopted the popular religions of that time. For instance, some of them converted to Vaishnavism, the worship of Vishnu, as in case of Greek ambassador Heliodorus, who set up a pillar in honor of Vasudeva. A few other adopted Buddhism, as in case of Greek ruler Menander, who became a Buddhist. Similarly, the Kushana ruler worshipped both Shiva and Buddha, and the image of these two gods appeared on the Kushana coins. The origin of Mahayana Buddhism owes a lot to the Central Asian influence. The monks and the nuns could not afford to lose their cash donation from the growing body of traders and artisans, and thus now started accepting gold and silver, took to non-vegetarian food, and wore elaborated robes, as substantiated by the discovery of large number of coins in the monastic areas of Nagarjunkonda in Andhra Pradesh. The disciplined life of the Sangha was also deserted by few to resume their householders' life, and earlier the thing associated with the Buddha, which were worshipped as his symbol, were replaced with his image. The new form of Buddhism, which venerated and worshipped image of the Bodhisattvas, came to be called as Mahayana Buddhism. Kanishka was a great patron of this form of Buddhism, who not only organized the Fourth Buddhist Council but also set up many other stupas to perpetuate the memory of Buddha. The fundamental difference between Mahayana and Hinayana school can be seen in the following box. So let's start with Hinayana and Mahayana. Hinayana. It considered the highest goal of human life should be to achieve Nibbana or Nirvana and become an Arhat. Whereas in Mahayana, it is considered the attainment of Nibbana to be the lesser goal. Rather, according to the highest goal is to follow the path of Bodhisattva and attain Buddhahood. Hinayana. According to them, an Arth is the one who, after attaining Nibbana, disappears from the cycle of samsara. Mahayana. According to them, the Bodhisattva is the one who has attained great wisdom but decided to postpone his Nibbana and help others to become Buddha. The Bodhisattva should have 10 virtues of dana: generosity, shila, good conduct, shanti, patience, forbearance, virya, mental strength, dhyana, meditation, prajna, wisdom, upaya, kushalya, skillful in means, pranidhana, determination, bala, power, and janana, knowledge. Hinayana. In Hinayana, the Buddha is considered Mahapurusha, superior man, the unequaled teacher par excellence who had become an enlightened and become an Arhat. Mahayana. Mahayana increased the gulf between the becoming of an Arhat and a Buddha. It introduced the idea of transcendent Buddha and Bodhisattva who stood in between Nibbana and Samsara. It conceived to many Buddhas and Bodhisattvas such as Maitreya, Avalokiteshvara and Manjushri, all of whom helped others in deliverance in their respective Buddha kshetras. Art and literature. The art in the post-Mauryan period was predominantly religious. Two most important features concerning art and architecture of this period are the construction of stupas and development of regional school of sculptures. Stupas. A stupa is a large hemispherical dome with a central chamber in which the release of Buddha or some Buddhist monk is kept in a smaller cascade. The base was surrounded by the path of pradakshina, clockwise circumambulation, enclosed by wooden railing, which were later made up of stone. Three prominent stupas of period are at Bharut, which dates to the middle of the 2nd century BCE and signifies for its sculptures. Its railings are made up of red stone. Sanchi, three big stupas were constructed at Sanchi in this period. The biggest of the three, which was built originally by Emperor Ashoka, was enlarged to twice its size, sometimes in 2nd century BCE. Excuse me. And Amravati and Nagarjun Konda, both in Andhra Pradesh. A number of stupas were also constructed in South India during this period, but none had survived in its entirely. School of sculpture art, idols of Buddha were carved out for the first time in this period. The Central Asian ruler became enthusiastic patrons of Indian art and literature and showcased great zeal in establishing new school of art. These were synthesis of both local Indian and Central Asian element in the new image of Buddha. The Kushana Empire brought together masons and artisans trained in different art forms and belonging to different nationalities, which further enriched the diverse culture. There were three major schools of sculptural art which developed in this period. These were Gandhar School of Art, Mathura School of Art and Amravati School of Art. एंड आप इसको भी लाइक डबल स्टार मार्क दिस क्योंकि इसके ऊपर BPSC में 1992 में सवाल आया था एंड हैश मार्क दिस क्योंकि इसके ऊपर UPSC में मेंस में सवाल पूछा गया था इन 2019 एंड 2014. सो मार्क दिस हाईली इंपॉर्टेंट इन योर बुक्स. Gandhar School of Art. Gandhar School had foreign influence as it was based on Greco-Roman norms, wherein the themes of sculptures is predominantly Buddhist, but the style is Greek. It is therefore also known as Greco-Buddhist School of Art. The school assimilated various traits of Achaemenian, Parthians, and Bactrian traditions into the local tradition. It is said to have flourished between 100 CE and 700 CE, found primarily in northwest India. The main patron of this art form were the Kushana. Influence of Buddhism and Hellenistic realism. So in Gandhar school, mainly Buddhist images are found. The famous Bamiyan Buddha of Afghanistan belonged to this art. The chief characteristics of Gandhar school of art is the sculpture in spiritual state, fewer ornaments, great detailing and rich carving, realistic image, expressive image, lean body. Features of Buddha sculpture: spiritual Buddha, sad Buddha, bearded Buddha, Buddha in yogic posture. Buddha is depicted with the garment draped in Greco-Roman fashion, with wavy hair, large forehead, and long ears. Halo not decorated, different mudra portrayed: Abhay mudra, Bhumi Sparsh mudra, touching the earth, Dhyan mudra, meditation, and Dhamma Chakra mudra, preaching pose. The stone used for making idols of Buddha and Bodhisattva were predominantly blue-grey schist. And one more thing, इसी टॉपिक के ऊपर लाइक स्कूल ऑफ आर्ट्स, डिफरेंट स्कूल ऑफ आर्ट्स दैट इज़ गांधार, मथुरा एंड अमरावती. इसके ऊपर UPPCS में भी सवाल आया था एंड UPSC में भी 1996 एंड 2006 में इसके ऊपर सवाल आया था. सो लाइक ट्रिपल स्टार मार्क दिस टॉपिक. Mathura School of Art. Mathura School of Art was primarily a center of indigenous school of art having no foreign influence. It is believed to have evolved from representation of yakshas, indigenous male deities. Also, presentation of female beauty as a vehicle of art was novel experiment of Mathura school. It is said to have flourished between 100 BCE and 600 CE, found primarily in Mathura, Sonk, and Kankatila, part of North India. The main patron of this art form were Kushanas. Influence of all three religions, Buddhism, Jainism, and Brahmanism. Mathura not only produced beautiful stone images of Buddha and Mahavira but also Brahmanical deities too. For instance, during the Kushanas period, a number of sculptures of Brahmanical deities were carved, which included Kartikeya, Vishnu, Kubera, along with headless erect statue of Kanishka. Mathura has also yielded large number of sculptures of Jaina deities, besides the Ayaguptas or the stone slabs to place object of worship, and Sarvato Bhadrika image of 4 Jain Jinas. Other striking examples of Mathura schools include figures of yakshas and yakshinis, nagas and nagins, and sensual females. Chief characteristics of Mathura school of art: sculpture in delighted mood, lacking spiritual look, energetic, having a strong muscular structure, not much attention to detail in sculpting. Image are less expressive. Features of Buddha sculpture: delighted Buddha, lacking spiritual look, with no beard or moustaches, shaven head and face, graceful posture of Buddha, seated in Padmasana. The halo around Buddha was profoundly decorated with geometric motifs. Buddha surrounded by 2 monks, Padmapani holding lotus and Vajrapani holding Vajra. The standing Buddha of Shravasi and Kaushambi. Mathura artists used local red stone with black spots to make the image. Amravati School of Art. The Amravati School of Art was also indigenous in nature. It is said to have flourished between 150 BCE and 350 CE. It flourished in Andhra Pradesh between the lower valley of river Krishna and Godavari. The main patron of this art forms were Satavahanas, but it carried on even later, patronized by the successor Ikshvaku ruler. Many Buddhist images are found. The thematic representation include the stories from the life of Buddhas, mostly from Jatakas. Important characteristics of the Amravati school is the narrative art. The medallions were carved in such a manner that they depict an incident in a natural way. For example, one medallion depicts a whole story of taming of an elephant by the Buddha. There is a prominence of human figure in comparison to the figures drawn from nature. Sculptures of this school are mainly found in the railings, plinths and other part of stupa. Another important feature of Amravati art is the use of white marble-like stones to carve out the figures. A lot of stone sculpture belonging to both the Gandhara and Mathura school of art were produced in the Kushana period and formed a part of a great cultural heritage of India. Along with the stone sculptures, beautiful Buddhist caves were also constructed out of the rock in Maharashtra and Andhra Pradesh. Numerous rock panels depicting the different stories connected with Buddhas are found at Nagarjun Kunda, Gaya, Sanchi, Bharut, and Amravati. The Central Asian rulers also patronized and helped the growth of Sanskrit literature. The earliest specimen of Kavya style, and that too in chaste Sanskrit, is found in Junagadh inscription of Rudraman I. Some of the great creative authors such as Ashvaghosha enjoyed the patronage of Kushanas. Some of the important Buddhist texts such as Mahavastu and Divyavandana belong to this period. The progress of Mahayana Buddhism led to the composition of numerous Avadanas, which aimed to popularize the Mahayana sect and were composed in Buddhist hybrid Sanskrit. The Greek contributed to the development of Indian theatres by introducing the use of curtains, which were called Yuvanika. One of the most classic work of the rhetoric and dramaturgy, Bharata's Natya Shastra, probably belong to the same period. One of the earliest erotic work on sex and love making, the Kama Sutra, was composed during this period by